This is Nick Nielsen, the mad scientist of muscle, and what I've got for you today here is two different training techniques in one overall framework. So what we're going to be doing here is post-activation potentiation in a compound exercise overload framework. So what you're going to do here, specifically with squats, is set up 2 bars in the squat rack. Now I've got the heavier load up here on the top hooks. This is 405. Now, this is the weight we're going to do the post-activation potentiation with, which is essentially a fancy way of saying using a heavier load to fire the high threshold motor units in a specific muscle group, specific exercise, in this case the squat. Now, what we're going to do here, and this is a bit different than some of the protocols you may have seen with this PAP protocol, but unrack, come down just a few inches, come back up, repeat for 3 reps. Which for this weight is not nearly a maximum. We're not doing this for maximum reps or anything like that. This is a volume-based approach. Now, 30 seconds rest. Then we're going to go over to the Anderson squat, which is the squat off the rails, a bottom start squat. I've got 245 on the bar here, so it's definitely a lighter weight. This exercise, this full range one, is more the focus of the workout. The higher weight is the one that sets it up. The lower weight is the one that we're focusing on. So, using a compound exercise overload framework, what we're going to be doing here is, again, 3 reps. This is a weight normally you want to be able to do like 6 to 8 reps with. You don't need to go super heavy on this. I'm actually going to be doing this for 40 minutes, going back and forth between the two. So, you can vary. If you want to go heavier, totally fine. If you want to go lighter, totally fine. The key is, when you get to the point on this bottom exercise where you'd be struggling to get that third rep where you really have to push yourself to get that third rep, that's when you end the set. Reduce the weight by 20 pounds, and then go back to the top one, and then go back here on the 20-pound lighter bar. So repeat basically for the entire 40 minutes. As you hit that point where you can only get to the 2 reps on any of these sets, that's when you again reduce the weight by 20 pounds and keep going. So by the time this is done, it could very well be that I'm down to 135 or 155 on here, while still keeping the 405 on this bar. The goal with this one, and there is a goal, is to get more strength out of the exercise, out of this exercise. So allowing you to do more volume, allowing you to basically wake up those high threshold motor units, really power out of the bottom when you're doing these ones. Use those high threshold motor units to power this weight off the rails and really develop a powerful squat out of the hole. So here's what it looks like. Again, I'm doing this for a 40-minute block. You can try it with maybe like a 20-minute block or a 30-minute block if you want to give that a shot. But I'll come back to you after this is done and give you kind of an update on how it works. Alright, so that is the technique. As you can see, this is definitely high volume training. This is not a high intensity workload type of technique. Now what I find, the reason I think this is so effective, is your legs are really built for high volume training. For me personally, I find I get the best results when I stay sub-maximal, but I do a lot of volume for the legs. And so this really fits the bill quite nicely. About 20 minutes into this, that's when I changed the weight from 245 down to 225, and I stuck with 225 on here the remaining 20 minutes as well. Now, what you'll also see here is a manta ray, which is something I stuck on the bar also about halfway through, because what I found is with just the bar on my back, the bar started rolling down a little bit too much, and my grip was so sweaty because it's hot down here, actually, ironically enough, in a basement, that the bar was starting to roll down a little bit too much to my liking. Normally, I would do just raw bar on the back, but the manta ray actually is very beneficial, I find, for partial range training, because it sits higher up and directly over the spinal column rather than sitting a little bit further back. So it actually distributes the load much better for high, I should say, partial range training. Not so much for full range training, but definitely really good for partial range training, so I stuck that on partway through. Now, for me, right now, I'm tired, but I'm not destroyed. So to me, that's the mark of a good strength exercise, a good strength workout, and then I can feel my legs have definitely been worked, but I'm not trashed. I'm gonna have no problem going up the stairs. So that is post-activation potentiation, compound exercise overload training. I think this is definitely worth giving a try if you're interested in seeing how it works for you.